Everybody all right? So brothers and sisters, we have a few more questions that we want to ask you to consider this evening. And the next question is, why have no police officer been sentenced for deaths in custody, even in cases where it is clear their conduct has contributed to or caused the death of a civilian? We're going to ask Brother Lee Jasper, our esteemed brother, to answer this question or give some guidance on this question. Let's welcome him once again, brothers and sisters.
Thank you, Minister. I think that the rationale for why nobody has been convicted is much the same as women who are rape victims don't get convictions in front of juries, even when the evidence is compelling. And the rationale for that is that the legacy of white supremacy is institutionalized racism, the prison industrial complex. And the effect of that is to have the overall disposition on particularly white people to have a cultural predisposition to believe that every black person is criminal, guilty, and must be up to something. And therefore, when you get to a court, and officers have been taken to court for manslaughter charges on not just black people, and could I just correct the information, the single biggest ethnic group to die in police custody is Irish people, not black people. So we need to remember that, it's Irish people, right? But nevertheless, given our numbers, we die in disproportionate numbers. And when you present compelling evidence to an inquest jury, they are routinely disbelieved if the victim is black. Yes. And it doesn't matter whether you're a suspect or a victim in the British criminal justice system, you're disbelieved. There's a presumption that you're telling lies, it didn't happen, or you're some way involved. And let's get something else very straight, because they've now invented terms to describe how we die in deaths in custody. You may remember, if you're a study of history, in 1851, Samuel A. Cartwright, who was supposed to be a psychiatrist in US America, defined the phrase drapetomania. Drapetomania. That's the fear of an enslaved African of being enslaved, right? And they defined it as a mental illness. You could go to a mental hospital because you weren't accommodating yourself to working on the plantation. And these days, they've moved on from drapetomania to ganja psychosis. That's the one I like. Like a man who smoked ganja can do anything to anybody. The other one that they've got is excited delirium. That means you've got 10 officers at your back and you've struggled pretty hard to get them off. I'm afraid they'll probably turn it into Latin at some point to confuse us further. And the other one is positional asphyxia. That means now, when I ask the BMA what the definition of these terms are, they see these medical terms do not exist. And yet they're being used in inquest systems right around this country. Now, the other problem about why nobody's been convicted, when you go to an inquest, hands up who's been to an inquest. Right, well, you see that the police, every police officer have 3 barristers and 6 solicitors. Every single one. Yes. Right? When you go, you see Myrna Simpson and her family on one side, and our whole phalanx, like the whole of that side of the room, is barrister to protect the state and protect the thing. Myrna doesn't get legal aid. The state gets legal aid through your taxes. So we should be fighting for legal aid for the victims so that they can enable, they say an inquest is a search for the truth. Well, how can you search for the truth when you have all the resources to cover up your lies and you don't have the resources to find out the truth? And so we've got to reform the inquest system. And finally, my position on why this is that you need to reform the inquest system. And it's not just affecting us. Look what they did to the people of Hillsborough. Those people died on that field. And the camera was on the whole time. And they still said that the fans from Liverpool were despicably robbing the dead, even though you could see with your own 2 eyes that people were in distress and dying. So even when they have overwhelming and compelling evidence, Their prejudice prevents them from seeing the truth. They wouldn't know the truth if it jumped up and bit them on the backside. And the truth should jump up and bite them in the backside occasionally. Let me say about just finishing off, Minister, because I know time is tight. Look, at the end of the day, if we don't have political and economic power, then we're always going to be subject to the vagaries of these people. My dream in the 100th centenary of the founding of the United Negro Improvement Association by the Right Honourable Dr. Marcus Garvey is to see us fulfill the vision of economic independence. We are a people who buy things that we don't need to impress people we don't know. We're people who will pay Sky TV a monthly subscription every year, but won't give the National Association of Black Supplementary Schools that donation for a year to build up new supplementary schools. We will walk past a black business to go to an Asian business, a Chinese, in fact any other race in the world business to buy their stuff before we'll go to our own shops to buy our stuff with any other thing except for food. So voter empowerment and getting out and voting is absolutely critical in, let me say this, it doesn't bring revolution, but it restrains the worst aspects. And if you can restrain them, you can save some lives. Yes. And that's what we're about. Some lives. Mark Duggan might be here today. They say Mark Duggan was a criminal. Quite frankly, I don't care whether Mark Duggan was Don Corleone or Al Capone. If a man is unarmed, you are impelled to arrest him and put him through due process, not execute the brother right there on the street in full daylight. And then talk to us as if we are some nodding dog Negroes that he had a gun and he shot us. The Independent Police Complaints Commission, we should be renamed the Independent Police Cover-Up Commission, sought to issue a press statement immediately that Mark Duggan had shot a police officer. And you know something, you may remember in 2011, Minister, a police dog was left in a police car.
Yeah.
You remember? It was a hot summer. Yeah, global warming had messed up everything. That's right. And there was a police officer, he left a dog in our police. This was on News at 10. This was national news. And the commissioner was forced to come out and say, can I apologize to the animal welfare lobby because we have been negligent in our duties in relation to our canine brethren. I want to offer a full and sincere apology. You know why? Because the animal lobby was threatening to destroy them politically, to come at them hard, and they had the muscle to do it. Now, Mark Duggan dies. We all know he didn't have a gun because the inquest jury found that. So everybody accepts that. Have you heard a single apology for the commissioner to say that, you know what, we did get it wrong. We thought he had a gun, he didn't, and therefore we give our profound apologies to the... You've not heard one single... The commissioner can apologise for the death of a dog, but he can't apologise for the death of a black man. Come on now.
Thank you, Brother Lee. And I tell you what incensed me is when the commissioner came onto the television and said, you know, that the family should move on and we now need to put this behind us. Now, you know, you could lose a relative to natural causes and that death could affect you for an extra 10, 15 years, much less someone who's been assassinated, as you said, in broad daylight, you know. And if justice, as the Bible says, stands afar off because truth has fallen in the street, then it's very important for those who were in the street when the truth had fallen, pick it up and tell it. That's right. Did I say pick it up and tell it? Yes. Pick it up and tell it. We thank Brother Lee Jasper for his words. Now, because of time, we're going to go straight to the next question.